All right, what's going on, Giants fans? Bobby Skinner talking Giants, giving an unfortunate update. Daniel Jones suffered a neck strain week 12 versus the Eagles in their win. Second play of the game, having the second play of the game. In fact, I have the clip that it happened on. I can show it to you real quick. You see he takes a hit. This is, again, second play of the game. 23 just comes on and essentially lands on his head. And then he ran the ball 8 times after that, finished the game. Um, Obviously, this sucks for the New York Giants. Obviously, it hinders their offense. It's their starting QB. It's gonna be a real downgrade to Mike Glennon or even Jake Fromm if he ended up getting some time. Now we don't know how serious the neck strain is. The neck strain could, he could be out for the season. I don't think that's out of play. They're saying week to week, but we know the Giants aren't gonna. The Giants aren't going to tell you anything that they don't need to tell you. So, right now, I'm kind of expecting the worst and hoping for the best with this injury. Now, granted, the season, as far as like winning games wise, they probably weren't going to make a run at the playoffs. It's fun to joke about it because they're like a game back of the seventh wild card spot. But in reality, they probably weren't going to make a playoff run. But where this really sucks is the evaluation of Daniel Jones. These next 6 games with Freddie Kitchens, including last week, would be 7. We're going to be really important. And especially when you bring a guy like Kadarius Toney back, who would thrive in what Freddie Kitchens did on Sunday, where they had some of their best yak in a while. Now, it wasn't a good offensive performance, but I did like what the offensive system was under Freddie Kitchens. I thought players didn't execute, including Daniel Jones. Now we know he freaking had a neck strain the entire game, in a game where it was like, man, his accuracy was kind of off. So it's just frustrating because, it's year 3 is so important. They have to make a decision on his 5th-year option at some point this offseason. They have a draft with 2 first-round picks. So to not have games, and, maybe he does come back earlier than, it comes back in 2 games, but to not have those games really does suck for the Giants. One, for just what they're trying to do, win on offense, but the evaluation of Daniel Jones. Year 3 is important, and I know the outside factors. One of them's gone, and Jason Garrett, which I thought was the biggest one, but the offensive line and stuff. But at some point, that stuff doesn't matter. It's either hey, you've proven to be the guy, or you haven't. The question is, the thing I've been saying is, well, if it's a yes or no question, you can't say yes until it's yes. And right now it's not yes on Daniel Jones. It would be a no. Now, I know there's a lot more nuance to it, but that's why these next 6 games are going to be so important to kind of get a feel of what you had out of Daniel Jones, because the offense was changing, because you can scheme around bad offensive line in the pass game. Not to where you're going to have some great offense, but have at least a sembling of a decent offense when you have Kenny Golladay, Tony, Shep, who might be coming back even as early as this week. Can't scheme around it for a run game, really. But so it's just frustrating, man. It seems like it's always something with this New York Giants team. Now, what will they do going forward? Well, they signed Jake Fromm, who I actually prank called Big Blue Kickoff Live about him last year. It's on our Twitter if you want to check it out. So they signed Jake Fromm. Once they signed Jake Fromm, I think everyone kind of had like, okay, something's up here. They didn't just sign Jake Fromm to have a third quarterback because they love Jake Fromm. So he's brought in to be the backup. Mike Glennon will start. Now, there's no such thing as a good backup QB in the NFL, but I feel like Mike Glennon, he has arm talent. Kadarius Toney's breakout game versus Dallas, 160 of his 195 yards came with Mike Glennon throwing him the ball. Went 16 to 25, 196 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. But he makes those bad decisions, and he can be erratic with his accuracy. So there's a reason Mike Glennon is a backup QB in the NFL. Erratic with his accuracy and bad decision making at times. But he is somewhat of a gunslinger. He's not afraid to throw the ball downfield, and he has the arm to do it. If you see how far each backup QB can throw, I bet Mike Glennon probably would be somewhere in the top 5 of that. Now, again, I don't think there's no such thing as a good backup QB. But I'm all right with Mike Glennon starting. I'm not panicked about him being our backup QB because, again, there's no good backup QB. But just what sucks going forward is the evaluation of Daniel Jones. And part of the evaluation kind of has to be availability, right? It's been 3 years now where he gets injured, and all on design running plays. Not freak plays. Versus Green Bay, it was the QB power last year versus Cincinnati, QB power up the middle. then got injured again in the Arizona game, and then this year on the design run that we went over early. I'll tell you what, the guy is, and being tough doesn't make you a franchise QB, but he's one tough son of a bitch. I mean, he played the entire game after a neck strain that he's going to have him miss games, probably multiple games. He played the entire game like that. Not only played the game, he ran the ball 8 more times. Last year went into the Arizona game with a bad hamstring, injured it, got a sprained ankle on his other leg in the second quarter, finished that game. The Packers game in 2019 just runs over freaking Zadarius Smith, sprains his ankle, and was throwing like across his body the next play. So he's a tough son of a bitch, man. Came back after 2 weeks after a broken collarbone at Duke. Being tough doesn't make you a franchise QB. Being a franchise QB is about making things happen. Simple as that sounds, and it's frustrating at this point in Daniel Jones' career it hasn't. And this is another stumbling block in that. The next 6 games are going to be huge under Freddie Kitchens. And again, he may come back. He may miss 1 week. I'm not sourced on anything, but they pulled the trigger on signing. Getting these signings done quick. They knew something was wrong. They knew something was wrong, and they knew he was going to miss games. And it's reported by Tom Pelissero that he will miss at least this week, and he'll be week to week after that. So. Frustrating for the Giants anytime you lose your franchise QB. I'll tell you what, man. I'm not used to this. This is the 3rd year of it, but I'm still not used to it because I had all those years of Eli Manning. I'm just never missing a game. I don't understand how other franchises do. I don't understand how other franchises change their QBs so often. Forget the QB you have getting injured. And it happens. So it happens to essentially every guy in the NFL. But it's frustrating. Can't give you stating the obvious with that, but. Hopefully he can get back because every game matters with Daniel Jones evaluation-wise. Again, they have to make a decision on the 5th-year option this offseason. I know the 5th-year option isn't the biggest deal in the world, but it is a decision, and they do have, 2 for top, most likely top 10 first-round picks. Now, I'm a big believer of hey, even if you don't think Daniel Jones is the guy, let's get this offensive line right, and then the next year you can go and get something. Get a quarterback. And I haven't studied the QBs really yet, but everyone says it's a weak QB class, so you don't want to force a QB pick. But frustrating for the New York Giants. I feel like that's a common theme over the last 10 years. So appreciate you guys. We'll have a podcast out in the morning talking more about it and answering some mailbag questions. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's go Big Blue.